I'm going to bring you back to 1991. I am 6 years old, living on the far southwest side of Chicago. I live on West 83rd Place, and I have a best friend in the world named Mary. Mary is 6 months older than me. We've been friends since we were babies, so I don't even remember when we first met. Our moms decided we were best friends, and we listened to our moms. At this point in my life, I would say, is pretty normal, pretty average. I have my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and me. And, we go to my grandma's house a lot. We've got some cousins we see sometimes. But for the most part, our life is pretty chill. You might even call it boring. Mary's house is like another world across the street that I am transformed to sometimes. So when I go over there, it's her mom and her dad. If he's not at the firehouse, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. And she's got an older brother who's 5 years older than us, and his whole goal in life is to torture us. So we'll be walking past a bed, and you'll have these hands come out and grab our ankles, and I am terrified. And Mary fights back and fights for both of us, and it's really intense. She has a younger brother who's 5 years younger than us, who's always wandering around in a diaper, screaming, getting into stuff he shouldn't, getting out of the house till their dog Duffy goes and stands in front of him in the street, and someone corrals him back in. And in addition, there is always some combination of aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins twice removed from both sides of her family. I'm not clear who's related to who and how, but I know all of their names. And they're all mostly a lot older than us and cooler, though a couple of them are younger. And when I walk in, they say, "Oh, hey, Annie." And there's people running around, and they're eating, and Dawn's yelling at some kid not to do something, and somebody's sleeping over. And it's just amazing, wonderful chaos. And it is a very different world, and it's terrifying, and it's great. And there's one day that Mary and I are in the basement with her mom, and this is a super fun day. It's the first week of October. And what's exciting right now is that Dawn, her mom, Dawn, has opened up this giant freezer, where people put venison, but the freezer's not plugged in because it's a storage unit for holiday decor. Mary's house at Christmas, I'm surprised they didn't get in trouble with Midway because they could land airplanes. And it's this little house, but the holiday that is a really big deal at this house is Halloween. Their house turns into first week of October, amazing, spooky, terrifying, wonderful house. And so these Halloween decorations are coming up, skeletons and graves, and it's incredible, and costumes, and oh my gosh. So Dawn goes upstairs to do something, and Mary says, "Annie, I have an idea," which is horrifying because it means I'm about to be dragged into something. But man, there's no way I can say no to Mary, ever. She just has that way about her. She says, "I have an idea. We're going to go trick-or-treating." I said, "Well, yeah, we'll go trick-or-treating on Halloween." She says, "No, we're going to go trick-or-treating today." I said, "I don't think you can do that." She said, "Annie, it's not real trick-or-treating. It is practice trick-or-treating. Come on." So she grabs two of those pumpkin buckets, probably from the Happy Meals back then, and she grabs me by the hand, and before I know it, we are going up the stairs, out the back door, down the gangway, and down the street. So this was not weird because at 6 years old, we were considered basically fine to be wherever, on the block, until one of our moms yelled at us. We were little, 6-year-olds in the 90s, late 80s, 90s. This is normal. So we go down the street, and she marches up to this house and rings the bell. And I'm like, what is happening? And this woman comes to the door, and Mary says, "Trick or treat." And the woman looks at us not sure. She walks away. She comes back. She goes, "Girls, I'm sorry. All I have are these hard candies." And Mary goes, "Perfect. I bet it'll be better at Halloween. Thank you." Puts it in a bag, and we go to the next house. So the next house, she rings the bell again. I'm like, is this okay? I guess it's okay. And it's going well. And they open the door, and it's a dad. I'm like, this feels intimidating. And she says, "Trick or treat." And he walks away, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And he comes back with a full-size Snickers bar. He says, "Girls, I'm sorry, I only could find one." She says, "That's okay," puts it in her bag. "Thank you." Down the stairs, down to the next house. So the next house is Grandpa Dooley's house, and we know this. We call him Grandpa Dooley. He is not our grandpa, but he has 26-ish grandchildren with red hair who all live in a 3-block radius. So everyone calls him Grandpa Dooley. So we go to Grandpa Dooley's house, and he opens the door, and she says, "Trick or treat." And he looks at us, smiles, walks away. He's taking a long time. He's old. He's kind of slow. I say, maybe we should leave. Mary's like, "No." So we park it, and eventually he comes back with hands full of change. He drops change in both of our buckets. Mary says, "Thank thank you, and she is down the stairs, back to her house, and back up the gangway. So I'm like trying to keep up. She's 6, she's like a full head taller than me in addition to 6 months, so like she's always faster than me. So we get to the backyard. I follow her. She runs around to behind the garage and she starts digging. I'm like, what is happening? She's digging in the ground with her hands. 6 years old. She says, "Give me the money." I say, "What is going on?" So I give her the money. She buries the money. She buries both of our money. She covers it up. She stands up. She says, "Annie, this is a secret. You will not tell anyone about this." Before I can even respond, Dawn is out the back door. She says, "Annie, your mom called. It's time for dinner." I said, "Okay." Mary says, "Okay, bye, Annie." Right? Total poker face. So I go home. My mom says, "How was Mary's house?" I said, "Great. I have a secret," because I'm 6 years old and I tell my mom all my secrets. She says, "What's your secret?" So I tell her the whole deal, and her mouth is like hanging open, and I'm like, "What? Oh, there must be something going on." So she says, "How much did Grandpa Dooley give you?" I say, "I don't know." I don't know money. So she grabs a thing of change, and she shows it to me. I say, 4 of those, they're quarters. So she calls Dawn. She tells her, and I can hear over the big corded phone. Dawn says, "Mary says that she doesn't know what you're talking about." My mom says, "Well, I'm taking Ann to return the money." And so we walk out the door. In the meantime, she's gotten a confession out of Mary. Mary comes out. She says, "Annie, I will never be your best friend anymore." So fortunately, that was not true. We gave the money back. We remained friends for years until 2 years later, where we found out that my family was moving 20 minutes away, which felt like a million miles away, and we both cried. And on the day we moved, Mary came with us and tried to hide in a broom closet so she wouldn't have to go back home. Mary told me later that when my dad did find her and took her back home, he asked her what it was like having a firefighter as a dad, because he was going to be a firefighter pretty soon, and he felt bad that he was going to be gone so much. So a couple days later, Mary and I actually had to grow up way more than any kid that age should have to, because my dad was killed in the line of duty as a firefighter. And Mary was there the whole time at the wake and the funeral, and she never stopped being my friend, and that family never stopped being friends with us. And 8 years after that, I had to return the favor when her dad was killed by a drunk driver. But we remained friends. We were in each other's weddings. We were godmothers for each other's kids. And this past Saturday, I was at her mom's house at a huge Halloween party. I was talking to her and her brother, who's a super nice guy and doesn't grab ankles anymore. And his daughter walked up, and Mary said, "Oh, this is Matt's daughter's best friend. Grace, this is Annie. She is my best friend." Thank you.